the sales variance, because the question says we should calculate all relevant variance. And when you look at this, if you look at this, you will see that if you look at it, you can see that there is sales there. Is that not so? So don't forget that sales variance is also divided into two, right? Sales variance is also divided into what? Into two. That is, the first variance is sales price variance. This is price. Don't forget it is price. Standard price.
Sorry, sir. Your voice is very low.
To be your network. Please, others should confirm.
It's a network.
My voice. Okay. Standard price minus the actual price right? The standard price minus what? The actual price times, just like the way we normally do rates. Class, the standard price, in labor rates, you have standard rates minus actual rates times the actual hour. Is that not so? So the same thing here, standard price minus actual price times what? The actual quantity sold. Class, are we still together, please? Class,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir.
Actual quantity sold. So what is the standard price? What is the standard price? Standard selling price. What is the standard price? Quickly. What is the standard price?
6,000.
6,000. 6,000. Minus what is the actual price?
6,120.
6,120.
6,000. 6,120.
Yes.
So what is the actual quantity sold?
2,004.
Actual quantity sold
2,400.
2,400. So in this, is it favorable or adverse?
Favorable.
Favorable. Why? Why is it favorable? Because you sell a standard of 6,000 and you sell
standard. Under.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, is
Is
adverse.
what? Why is it adverse?
It should be favorable.
Okay, sorry, favorable, sir, because you made more. You more like more profit.
I beg. Price. You are making more money. You send a standard of 6,000 and you sell at 6,120. Right? Right? You make more money. So what do you have?
288,000.
288,000.
Favorable.
So the next one is sales volume. Volume variance. Right? This is volume, right? Right? Sales what? Sales volume variance. Right? Now, in the sales volume variance, it is based on units. Volume is units. Right? Standard sales in units, sales units, minus, don't worry, we'll do work back variance in case I can want to bring work, maybe you may see maybe work back variance, right? We'll do work back variance. Standard sales in units, sales units minus actual sales units times, right? Now, you want to compare the volume. Is that not so? Now, in this case, if you want to compare it, you need to look from the question on which basis the company prepare what is it called, their product. Is it on marginal costing or absorption costing? Class, at the beginning of this question, it was told that the company adopt the standard absorption costing. Class, since it is standard absorption costing they adopt, class, that is profit. You multiply by standard profits. But should in case the company operates based on marginal costing, you multiply by standard contribution. If the company operates based on marginal costing, you multiply by times standard contribution. If the company operates based on standard absorption costing, you need to multiply by the standard profits. Now, what is the standard sales? What is the standard sales unit? What is the sales unit of the standard? What is the standard sales unit? What is the sales unit?
2,000.
Hello?
2,000 units.
2,000 units, because the projected production is still the same thing as the sales unit. That is why they say it has estimated that the production and sales unit for the month will be 2,000 units. So in this case, production and sales unit is 2,000 units. What is the actual sales unit?
2,400.
2,400.
2,400 units. Times, see, believe me, if you think you've understand this variance and you did not go back and do like 2 questions more, okay, if you leave this variance today, once we finish this class, quickly go and solve question. Before you solve question, make sure the class will be uploaded immediately, right? The recording will go. Make sure you go back and watch the recording again, then solve questions. Please don't leave variance like that just because we are doing it in class now. It is very easy, right? So what is the standard profit? Or you say standard gross profit. What is the standard gross profit?
1,200.
Now, should in case it is not like this, sometimes I can decide to scatter this. Sometimes we want you to like get the standard gross profit. This is how you will get it. You can see the way it is being structured. That is how you will get your standard gross profit. You remove your sales from all your costs. Please, should in case it is not structured this way, please, you know what to do, right? So what is the standard gross profit?
1, 2.
One. Favorable.
So is it favorable or adverse?
Favorable.
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 480,000.
Is it favorable?
Because the sales is more
Why
than
is it favorable?
the actual is more than the standard.
Because they sold more.
Okay. So what is the favorable figure?
480,000.
480,000.
Please don't forget this part. I beg you. If the company operates on marginal costing, right? It is standard contribution, sales minus all your standard variable costs. But if it is absorption costing, It is standard gross profit. Take notes. Any other question? Any question before we move on to fixed overhead variance? If you have question, unmute your mic quickly.
Sir, concerning what you just said, what you just explained concerning the standard is based on the standard contribution. Marginal costing approach. You use standard contribution, and if it is based on costing approach, which we just did, you use standard profit. Now, in the case where it is based on the marginal costing, how do we determine the variable?
I should help you. Wait, who is that?
Is
Who is the person first? Let me
yes,
know. Who is
yes,
Bridget?
sorry,
How will you determine what? How will you determine contribution?
no, it's not the contribution.
Mm-hmm. The standard will be given to you now. In the question, you'll be given the standard. They will tell you that this is the standard cost card for this. So you'll be the one to arrange it. Bring out your sales from your standard. Remove your variable costs. You have your contribution.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question? Fixed overhead variance is given in this question.
Hello, sir.
So,
Sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
please, I can hear
Yeah,
you. Go ahead.
from this question that was given, let's say we are to use contribution if the company adopts the marginal costing. Can we say our contribution is 1.5 from the scenario that was given, from the question given?
Do your sales. Yeah.
That's the selling price minus direct
Wait.
material, direct labor, and
Yes.
variable production, just in case.
Yes. Now.
Oh,
Is that also? Joshua. Is that also contribution? Contribution does not change now. Does it change? Uh, I don't expect you to answer this question because contribution does not change. It's still sales minus your variable cost. We have your contribution. Simple. You multiply it, right? Now, fixed overhead variance is divided into two, right? The fixed expenditure, expenditure, fixed expenditure variance. No. In the fixed expenditure variance, we can have okay, that's fine. Fixed, we can have budgeted fixed cost, fixed overhead minus the actual fixed overhead. Now the question is, in this question, what is our budgeted fixed overhead? What is actual fixed overhead given to us in this question? Let's check. Actual fixed overhead is given, right?
Yes.
As 360.
Yo.
Okay, continue. Maybe only. Who is that, say? Is it Pere or Clementina?
Sir, it's not me. Oh.
Who is who? Clementina, right?
It should be her.
Okay. 360. Then the budgeted fixed overhead. Don't forget, you cannot compare projected and actual together. You cannot compare Pere and Tolulope. They must have something in common. Class. Now, budgeted fixed overhead, is it given to us in this question? Is it given?
No.
Budgeted overhead, is it given? No. Now, but the overhead absorption rate is given to us. Is that not so? The overhead absorption rate
Yes.
is given.
Yes.
What is the overhead absorption rate given to us in this question?
30.
30. Why should I 30? You are correct now. 30, right?
Yes.
30 naira per hour, right? Now, class, 30 hour. See, sometimes we set trap for you. They will give you budgeted fixed overhead to be let's say 300. Then you will now go and use it. Class, you cannot compare budgeted and actual. Budgeted must have element of actual. I've been saying this thing. Oh, your standard must have element of actual. Now, our fixed overhead absorption, we are lucky. The fixed overhead absorption rate is given to us in this question. If it is not given to us, the question now says further that they observe their overhead on the basis of the units. On the basis of what? However, the estimated production for the month has been used as the basis of determining, okay, that is, they use it based on what? The unit. Now, since we're given 30 naira per hour, right? 30 naira what? Per hour. Now, what is the actual hour? What is the actual hour? What is the actual hour? What is the actual hour now? Check it from the question. What is the actual hour?
21,000.
21 what?
21,000 hour.
21,000,
Yes.
right? 21,000 hour. So 21,000 hour times 30. What do you have?
630.
What do you have?
630.
630,000.
630,000. 630,000 minus 360. What do you have?
270,000.
270?
Yes.
270,000. Now let's go back. So which means that this 30 naira per hour will not be our overhead absorption rate. It will not be our overhead absorption rate. Never. Because in the question, it was mentioned that the overhead absorption rate is based on class. It is based on what? It is based on the estimated units. Now, let's do something. Let's do something. Quickly, a rough walk. Let's do something before we come back. You see, this fixed overhead is problematic, but just calm down. The fixed overhead cost given to us, fixed overhead cost. The fixed overhead cost, the total given to us as standard. What do we have? What is the standard? The total is 4,800,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Hello, 4,800. It is 4,800 naira per unit. Is that not so? 4,800 naira per unit.
It's 300 naira per
4,000.
unit.
It's 300 naira. That
What
is
is what?
combination of variable cost and fixed
Yeah,
cost.
I'm
That
saying
makes it
cost.
6,000.
I'm saying cost.
Okay.
Cost.
Okay. For
The cost to the
foreign.
cost. The cost is what? 4,000. Okay. The cost is 300. Okay.
300 naira, sir.
Okay. Oh yeah. 300. Thank you. 300 naira per unit, right? So per unit, right? What is the estimated? What is the budgeted? Budgeted is what? 2,000 units. Is that not so? Just observe. So what do we have here? What do we have here? When you multiply, what do you have here?
600.
600,000.
600,000. You see this 600,000 naira? It is your budgeted fixed overhead. It is what? Budgeted fixed overhead. Budgeted fixed overhead. Now, if 600 is your budgeted fixed overhead, and the question says that they absorb their overhead on the basis of what? They absorb their overhead on the basis of the units. Now, if I want to determine my overhead absorption rate, which is OAR, fixed overhead absorption rate, I will say budgeted overhead overhead divided by budgeted level of activities, which is the unit. Now, in this case now, I can say FOAR equals to
600,000 divided by 2,000 divided by 300.
Thank you. 300. No, 2,000. Right? What is the budgeted levels of activity? It's 2,000 units, right? 2,000 units. I know I will come back to 300 units. Equals to, this will be equals to 300 naira per unit. Do you know why I need to do it like this? Now, before we pick 30 naira per hour. 30 naira per hour is not our fixed overhead absorption rate, class. Because the question says that you absorb your overhead, right? You absorb your overhead on the basis of the estimated. Now, what should come to your mind is that first, what is the fixed over? Please, the person should meet his mind. The first thing that should come to your mind is, what is the fixed production overhead cost? 10 times 10, 10 times 30, 300 naira per unit. If I multiply 300 naira per unit times the units budgeted, will give me budgeted fixed overhead. If I have budgeted fixed overhead, of course, some student will now come and put it here. 600. I've gotten my 600. Right? I've got it. Okay, you have 600, right? 600 minus 360. What do you have? What do you have?
That's 240.
240. I don't want us to use that method because it will not work on the long run, right? Now, what I want you to use is that, please pay attention. You cannot compare budgeted and actual. Budgeted, we have elements. See, why we have that 240 is because it is coincidence, right? Now, you get your OAR, and the OAR is it is not based on labor hour. If we put that 30 naira per hour here, it means that we are absorbing the overhead on the basis of labor hour. Class, are we still together? On the basis of what? Labor hour. That is what it means. So, 30 naira per unit times, right? 30 naira per unit times, what is the actual? What is the actual unit? What is the actual unit? Class, what is the actual unit?
2,000.
What is the actual unit? What is the actual unit?
2,000.
2,000.
2,000,
2,000
right?
units.
2,000. 2,000 units, right? So what do we have? 300 times 2,000 units. What do we have?
600,000.
600,000.
We still have 600,000. 600 minus 360. What do you have? What do you have?
240,000.
240,000.
240,000. That's fine. See, fixed expenditure variance. It is a fixed overhead variance is a problem. It's a problematic. But guess what? Listen, you will understand it. I'm the one that gave budgeted fixed overhead minus actual. The actual fixed overhead is 3. See, if I can want to set a trap, I can will give you this budgeted. Then you will not just rush and say 600 minus 360. Class, you will be wrong. Now, the reason why you have 240 is because the question is just coincidence, right? Of what they arrive at. That is it. So it is not usually like that. Class, expenditure, what you spend, you have to. Your budgeted must have element of actual. How do we arrive at 300 naira? It is because per unit. It is because you check what is the basis of absorption. Oh, the basis of absorption is based on the unit. Okay, budgeted overhead over budgeted levels of activities. Now, how do we get the budgeted overhead? If you multiply 300 naira per unit times the budgeted, we have the budgeted overhead. Then you can now have 600 divided by 2000 units. You have your OAR times the actual. The person should mute his or her mic now. Times the actual. Is it favorable? The person should mute his or her mic now. So is it favorable or adverse? Is it favorable or adverse? Is it favorable or adverse, class? This will give 600,000 minus 360.
Favorable.
Okay. So what is the favorable? What is the difference?
240,000.
240. So after the fixed expenditure, there is efficiency, fixed, finally, before we move to the reconciliation, fixed expenditure, fixed efficiency variance, please, anywhere you see efficiency is hours. Class, efficiency, right? It is the efficiency that divided into capacity and volume. Class, it is the efficiency that divided into what, class? Efficiency, well, it is the efficiency that divided into what? Capacity and what? Capacity and volume. So fixed expenditure efficiency variance, right? Now, in this, since it is volume, we can say the actual hours minus the budgeted. Class, okay, let me put it out. Actual hour minus the budgeted, which is the standard budgeted efficiency, budgeted hour times, it's supposed to be standard rates. Class, it's supposed to be standard rates. Is that also the standard rate? Here will be fixed overhead absorption rates, right? It is what? Fixed overhead absorption rate, which is what? 3 naira per unit, right? Now the question is, what is actual hour and what is our budgeted what? What is our budgeted hours? We need to do what? We need to bring in that. Class, am I communicating?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So actual hour, what is the actual hour given to us in the question? What is the actual hour? Hello, what is the actual hour? Actual hour, actual hour. What is the actual hour? Is labor now. Hello.
So with you.
What is the
21.
actual hour? That is
21,000.
21,000. Sometimes you may be given actual hour for fixed overhead. That is why when I'm solving question like this, that is why you need to have your writing material, right? With you. Sometime they may give you actual fixed overhead. If you are given the actual fixed overhead, please use it. But if you are not given the actual fixed overhead hour, the labor hour will be your actual hour. So this is 21 minus the budgeted hour, class. The budgeted hour, don't forget, what is the let me use standard hour. Let me use standard hour so that you will know that you need to multiply standard hour. So what is the standard hour given to us? Standard hour for fixed overhead. What is the standard hour? Class, so what is the standard hour fixed overhead? 10. 10 hours per unit times what, class? Times
300.
what?
300.
Times what?
300 naira per unit.
2,100.
Times 2,800.
Times 2,800.
Times 2,800. That is the what? The actual unit. Is that not so? I said, see, I've said this several times. 2,000 what? 2,800, class. I've said this several times that you cannot compare standard and actual. Standard must have element of actual. And you have 10 hours per unit. How can you multiply 10 hours per unit times 300 naira per unit?
Okay.
This is 10 hours per unit, class. Per unit. This is units.
Okay.
You multiply it. See, when you get the material, when you listen to it, when you watch the video on YouTube again, you can bring out, you can form your own formula again. You can rewrite it. That the standard hour, it is the standard hours times the actual units. You can put it, but I don't like giving formula. I just want you to understand it that you cannot compare actual with standard. Standard must have element of actual, and this is 10 hours per unit. 2,800. So what is the overhead absorption rate? The overhead absorption rate is 300. See, sometimes the overhead absorption rate may be based on labor hour. Class, assuming in this question, the overhead absorption rate is based on labor hour. Do you know what? You will just use this 3 naira per hour as your basis of overhead absorption rate. It is given. But because the basis of overhead is based on the unit, not based on the hour, right? You can as well use the 300 units per hour, but I want you to arrive at that 300 units. That is why I said, look, get your budgeted fixed overhead, divide it by the budgeted levels of activities. Based on that, get your 300 naira per unit. But if it is based on labor hour, the 30 naira per hour will be your fixed overhead absorption rate because it is based on labor hour. Class, are we still together? Are we still together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are we still together?
So we are here.
Yes, sir.
So we have 21 minus 10 hours per unit times 2,800 units. What do you have?
28,000.
28,000 units, right? 28,000 hours, sorry. Hours. So is it favorable or adverse? Is it favorable or adverse? Is it favorable or adverse, class? The budgeted is 28 and the actual hours is what? Is 21.
Favorable.
Is it favorable or adverse? Right? Is what?
Favorable.
Favorable. Okay. Okay, we all know it is favorable, right? Okay. So what is the favorable figure?
7,000. Oh, okay, sorry,
Is
2.1
it
million.
2.1?
Million.
Wow. That's
Sorry,
high.
sir. Is it 300 naira per unit?
Yes.
Okay, so that means
Oh,
7,000 hours multiplied by 300 units is
oh.
2,100,000.
So efficiency is based on hours. We use 21,000 hours minus, this is hours. You guys supposed to correct me now. I'm using, this is 300 naira per unit. And this is hours. Hours goes with unit? No, now.
Sorry, sir.
So this should be, do you get, this is hours. It's supposed to be standard rates or standard hour. It's supposed to correct me, right? This is efficiency, right? Can you see it? Class, can you see it? This is hours. This is hours. And I wrote
30
300
naira.
naira per unit.
30
Can
naira
you
per
see it?
hour.
You see, 30 naira per hour. Now it can work out like this. So if I want to use units, all this one here, everything here should have been units. Should have been what? Units, not hours. So what do you have?
210,000 hours
10,000.
naira.
Two,
Huh?
210,000, right? 210,000. That is what? 210,000.
Sorry, Mr. Ibrahim, sir.
Favorable?
So the
Okay.
formula should be standard rate, not standard hour.
No, this is efficiency,
I mean, actual
right?
hour minus standard
Eff-
hour multiplied by standard rate.
okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good. Thank you. Class, don't stress yourself. You've calculated expenditure and efficiency. Hmm? Your capacity, class. Sorry. Fixed expenditure, fixed overhead variance is divided into two. Is that not so? It's divided into two, which is expenditure and volume. Is that not so? Oh, under the what is it called? Under the volume, that is when we have efficiency and capacity. Class, fixed overhead. I'm supposed to do volume instead of efficiency, right? Fixed overhead variance is divided into two, class. The fixed expenditure and the fixed volume. The fixed volume is divided into fixed efficiency and capacity. Efficiency plus capacity will give volume. So you can either calculate fixed volume variance, or you say you calculate fixed efficiency variance and capacity variance. Addition of the two will give you volume. So we've already calculated fixed expenditure. Is that not so? Fixed efficiency. So we need to complete it, right? That means we need to calculate the fixed capacity. But what is the fixed volume? Fixed class, are we still together? Fixed volume variance. Class, are we still together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Standard volume. Volume means output. Is that not so? Volume means what? outputs. Standard units, right, minus actual output. Volume means units, right, times the fixed overhead absorption rate, which is OAR, right? And the OAR is based on what? It is based on the units, and that is what we arrive at 300 naira per unit, right? Now, what is the actual unit? What is the actual unit? Actual unit, class, quickly.
2,800.
2,800 units. We already have the fixed overhead absorption rate to be, because they say it is based on the not labor, but based on the units, which is 300, right? So the standard, right? What is the standard unit? What is the standard? Class, what is the standard? Quickly.
Standard is 2,000.
2,000 units.
2,000. 2,000. Okay. 2,000 minus, what do you have? Is it favorable or adverse? What do you have?
Favorable.
Is it favorable or adverse? What is the favorable figure?
800.
When you have 2,000 minus 2,800 units times 300,
240,000.
240,000. So what do you have? We have the standard is 2,000 units. So favorable or adverse?
Favorable.
Favorable or adverse? What is the favorable figure?
240,000 naira.
240. So I can leave it like this, right? Or you can decide to calculate your efficiency and capacity. So the addition of efficiency and capacity will give volume, will result to your volume. So before we move to I don't need efficiency and capacity, right? Because I've calculated my volume. Before we move to the reconciliation, do you have anyone that have question?
Hello,
Thank
sir.
you. 14 minutes.
Sir, can you also calculate the capacity for the efficiency?
Okay. Any other question again? The call will end in how many minutes?
14 minutes.
Okay, 14, that's fine. Any other question? Okay. So if there's no question, let's quickly check where I think, did I give? Okay, next time. Please, I hope you all understood this variance, right? The basic variance. Hello? Hello?
Hi.
Hi. Yes, sir.
Okay. Please, do you understand it?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So capacity variance capacity variance, I can copy this. I will send the material to you immediately after the class, right? Or you can just check. So
Yes.
I can
Just a class.
okay, oh, continue. Shebi, they send message. Kudus, well done, oh, well done. Are you supposed to be talking to a lady now?
Taking the play.
Any lady that is not any lady that is not favorable, just pack it, shift it one side.
We will use plenty of paper.
Favorable in the sense that
We will use plenty of favorable to
you
remove the
say
adverse. We will use plenty favorable to remove the adverse.
okay, oh, they play. Fixed overhead capacity variance. The budgeted hour minus the actual hour times the standard. Now, you see this fixed overhead class. You see this fixed overhead is always a problem. Oh. It's always a problem, right? So we've used efficiency, we've used hours here. What should we use in the capacity? What is your capacity level? You want to know the person capacity level. So this will be standard labor rates slash this will be standard labor rates. So the budgeted hours, which is the standard, we can use it as standard hours. So I can copy this. I can copy this, right? It will still give us the same thing. It will still give us the same thing. Okay. Okay, don't worry. Kudus. Kudus,
Yes,
are you there?
sir.
Don't worry, I will check. Maybe our next class tomorrow, right? We'll have class tomorrow for the mix
Okay.
and yield. Before that class, we'll break it down again. I will check what we
Okay.
can use. We'll check what we can use so that we'll arrive at the same volume, right? So please, I need to confirm if every one of you understand this fixed overhead variance. So if you understand it, right? So we need to move to budgeted. Now, the question says we should do reconciliation. Now, this is another bottleneck, right? Budgeted gross profit. What if it is not stated that you should do budgeted gross profit? They just say reconciliation. What you need to do from the question, there are two approaches to it, right? The first approach is that check which basis did they use. Is it marginal costing or absorption costing? If it is marginal costing, it means that it is budgeted contribution. You have to start with either you start with budgeted contribution or actual contribution. Don't forget it's a reconciliation. Now, check in the question again. Is it an absorption costing approach? Oh, it is an absorption costing approach. Definitely, you need to start with budgeted gross profit or you start with actual gross profit, whichever one you want to start with. Class. So since the question states it that it is budgeted gross profit, so therefore, we need to start with budgeted gross profit. Although the question, it is based on what? It is based on absorption costing approach. So reconciliation, what is the name of the company? What is the name of the company?
Good Land Limited. Land
Good what?
Limited.
Use your name.
Doing.
So I can say reconciliation. Reconciliation of which one are we starting with first? Okay. Reconciliation of, I'm starting with budgeted profit. You can start with actual profit to arrive at budgeted profit. Reconciliation of actual, or you say reconciliation of budgeted and actual profits for the month. Please go and solve question on variance. I beg you, right? So I'm starting with budgeted. Budgeted gross profits, so that I will end with actual profits. Budgeted gross profits. So what is the budgeted gross profit per unit given to us? Don't forget that budgeted gross profit is per unit. What is the per unit given to us in that question? What is the per unit?
1,200.
One, who is that? 1,200
Yes,
naira
sir.
per unit, right? Are you
I'm not
tired,
too strong.
Bridget? Okay. 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 Where did you read? Who is the person that caused that now? Is it Icon?
It is way.
Sorry, I'm also stressed off, right? You can see where I'm teaching today. It's not
Yeah.
as usual, right? So, what is the budgeted unit? 2,000 units. Now, what is figure?
240,000
Figure,
units.
please. Okay.
2,400,000.
240,000 units.
2,400,000.
That's true. 2,400,000. Sorry for that.
Ah, that's fine. That's fine. 2 million, how many minutes?
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
So when it is 3 minutes, you let me know. So what you will add again is your sales. If you have sales volume and sales price, because they are part of your profits. When you make a sales, you make a profit. Sales price, you make a profit as well, right? So sales volume. So what is the sales volume? Favorable or adverse? What is the sales volume that we calculate in the from the question?
480,000.
Okay, you're writing. Thank you, Joe. So I don't need to scroll up again. 480 favorable. Sales price, right? What is the sales price? Is it favorable or adverse?
Favorable, that is 288,000. 6
Okay. 288. 288, right? So what is the total?
Seven. Total of
What
what,
is the
sir? Is
total?
it sales volume and price?
everything, both the budgeted gross profits.
Three
What is the
million
total?
168,000.
Favorable.
One
3
sixty-eight
million one
thousand.
sixty eight
So it's
168,000.
3 minutes to
That
the
is
end of the
favorable,
call.
right? Okay, okay, okay. Thank you. That's fine. That's fine. So we have you can say this is cost. You can have cost variance. So we can have here favorable uh favorable adverse.
2 minutes now.
You can write it in full. Okay, 2 minutes. Okay. So we'll move to cost variance, right? Favorable and this. Okay, okay, that's fine. So let me quickly create